Hi world, it's me, Allison, Big Al, whatever, you know. So I'm making another video. I know you're so excited. It's okay. But I've been contemplating whether or not I should do, like, I was thinking about it, calling it the world's problems and how to solve them, case by case, because I have that information for you. Now, what I'd like to talk about first is all the problems that we have that maybe some of you guys don't even notice yet, like, well, saving for retirement, for instance. Business, government, they all reap more rewards than the retiree. Investing and keeping profits instead of the person whose money is being used to profit from. So, for instance, say you're paying taxes, you're paying into your Social Security and all that, right? Let's just go about it in the idea that you are able to invest that money into something, right? Well, over that period of time, you would actually accumulate more money than your Social Security will for you in the time by the time that you do retire, which just keeps getting pushed off further and further and further. Have anybody not noticed that? So, yes, the government constantly is taking our money, right? And this government that literally feels like they're using it to wage war against us. Personally, I feel that way. And I know a lot of you out there do too. It's not just me. If people understood how to manage their own funds, they would know this about these things with their money being taken previously, and they're investing it, but you're not getting the benefits from it. They are. And then you get to barely make it, when you retire after putting forth all your life into these companies. If greed wasn't an issue, we would all be just fine. But it's like more is never enough for them, right? Like more is never enough. Anyway, so what good is a Social Security number when the only ones benefiting is the government? They don't keep our numbers safe. I can personally vouch for that. I've had mine stolen by several people, and one time I was at a bank and they were telling me how my Social Security number pulled up somebody else's account, different name. They gave it to me at first by accident, but then when I specifically asked for it again so I could write it down, they were like, oh, we can't give you that. So you guys are going to cause me all this trouble with a Social Security number that is mine that somebody else is using fraudulently. It seems a lot these days that we're constantly asked to give. And by doing so, we're getting effed, if you know what I'm saying, because it's like that money is being used against us, or they're using that money for benefits that we're not receiving back. I mean, personally, I'd much rather prefer to keep my own money and invest it. And, maybe some of you out there are thinking, well, I don't even know how to invest. But you can learn. And why doesn't the government want us to know more? Like, about our bodies, for instance. Is it because they want to benefit from birth control cells? I would say likely so. Money is the root of all evil. It is the false prophet, because you make money to solve the problems that have been caused by money. It's just, vicious cycle. So let's see. So it's also said, our Social Security is not even going to be around when we need it, which makes it even more so important, I think, that we learn how to handle our money ourselves. Go ahead and keep that money to invest, to make more money from. So that way we who actually should be benefiting from it are, right? Yeah. Okay, let's see what else here. For instance, this lovely shutdown that we've just experienced. The government takes our money, then they shut down our businesses, unless you're a big box business that can, probably pay them off. Just guessing. But whose money is that too? Oh, it's ours. And yes, we bought products from this place, but only because we pretty much were forced to at this point, considering no other businesses were open. Thank you. So, not only that, but the government takes our land, our homes. Let's say you don't pay your taxes. Well, why should we even have to pay taxes when, one, they're being completely wasted? Did you even know that a child's public school education is just as much as private school education? Yeah. That's cool, right? I mean, considering the education they receive is like on a completely different level than a private school's education that they offer. But hey, let's just keep paying those public schools, right? And hey, public schools, keep having more meetings so you actually feel like you're doing something, right? Ooh, laziness and greed, it just is a great recipe for destruction. Okay, let's see. So yeah, so land and homes. Let's say you leave land or home to your child or something, right? If that kid can't pay the fees and stuff for that being left to them, they're going to lose the house. They're going to have to sell and all that. Why is that even okay? I don't think it's okay. I don't think anybody else thinks that's okay. Let's see. So yeah, so we're taxed and taxed and taxed until we can't even afford to live, with wondering if we can't, or if we can or can't make it. Landing us to a reliance on a government that isn't there for us anyways. So they want us to be, more reliant on them, but yet, yeah. Hacks are at an all-time high. Did it ever occur to anyone that this was done purposely and the pandemic is part of what pushed us online more than ever? Be prepared, get prepared if not. Reason being is, does it not seem quite interesting that we've had more hacks than ever, as I mentioned, yet we are now more online than ever? Is this not also a recipe for disaster? Yeah, it is. Okay, people spend their entire lives preparing for their future when they are old and not as able. But with all the government involvement, it's hard to hold on to a life. It's a constant struggle for more than most, but it should not be. There is no reason for anybody to be homeless, for anyone to be hungry, for any of that, especially in this country. But in this world, though, really, there's no reason for any of it. And why? Because somebody didn't get paid? Like, I mean, really? It's like, oh, okay, well, maybe some of you out there are thinking like, oh, well, you're describing this or you're describing this. Well, okay, the only thing is, though, is like, let's say we're talking about communism, right? A lot of people are like, oh, communism these days anyways, because they're confused, and it's sad. It's just, history repeats. That's why we like to learn our history. But if you also notice that they're trying to hide our history, so we don't know it. So we do repeat it. So we don't know what to look for when bad things are coming, for instance. Now, with that, yes, the government makes it very hard to hold on to a life. If you mess up because you can't do otherwise, say you can't even afford to, so therefore it's considered you're messing up, yet then, say tax evasion or something, right? These people end up in jail. Say maybe they really couldn't pay their taxes or whatever. And not just that, but you know what? If we don't want to pay our taxes because we don't agree with how they're being used, then why in the hell should we? I don't think we should at all. And I think a lot of you out there agree with me. Now, it's up to you, however, to grow the guts to deal with this, to say no more. And the longer you go on, like for instance, we have people literally leaving California to go to Texas or wherever, which, don't get me wrong, I love Texas. That's one of my homes, that and Oklahoma. But you can't keep running from your problems because they're just eventually going to follow you. Whether or not things right now affect you, they will. And that's why you have to stand and you have to fight. You have to stand up against it. You have to say no more. You can't support businesses that are out there to enforce these rules that are literally against our constitutional rights. I mean, this is some straight up BS. So we need to have businesses out there letting it be known that you aren't going to step on our rights, you're not going to tread on us, so we can come support you. Please let us know in the comments section, or private message, whatever. Please make sure to mark urgent in the very beginning so I know to look at it for sure, because I get a lot of messages that I don't check. Okay, let's see, going on here. Okay. Okay, so let's say regular jobs to pay their tax. Okay, so like for instance, there's also sometimes like people, they'll have their regular job to pay their taxes, and then they'll have side under the table jobs to pay for everything else. And that is very common because you just can't fucking make it on wages as they are, and they want to bring up minimum wage, increase it. But all that this stuff does, all this unorganic, way of making things, it doesn't make for better, it makes for worse. It makes it where things are inflated in pricing. So like for instance, by doing a, whatever it costs the business that's providing that product, any incurred costs, they're going to push off on the customers. So increased wages, taxation, fees from, whatever it might be, that goes on to you. So not only are you paying those taxes out of your paycheck already, but also your employer's paying taxes on you just to employ you at their business. And then you're going out, minus whatever that business you work at is also increasing to their customers to pay for you, even just to work there. Then if you want to go buy anything, you're also paying more money to get that because of exactly the same situation that you're in at your job. So everybody's paying more money. But you know who's benefiting from this? It's not you or I, it's not the businesses, it's the government. The government is the only one benefiting from any of this. You lose, you win. It is the government that is always winning, no matter what. What? Why? When did this all start to come into play? Was it ever even okay in the beginning? Like, I don't even know. There should never be a small group of people in charge of a whole fucking country. Mass elections do not work. It doesn't work. You know what works? Okay, so check this out. We got 50%, right, of the people want something, right? But then you got the other 50% having to go along with this BS. And I'm saying on either end, no matter who you are or what you want, this is the way it always works. And that's not okay. We're not happy with that. For instance, I always find it funny, like, nowadays anyways, the Democrats calling Republicans like they don't want to, help people and stuff like that, which that's not the case at all. It's that we don't like big government, and we want to do things without the corruption, without money being wasted constantly. The programs are not set up to help people. They hurt us. And they take our money. I mean, how much of that money even reaches these programs in the first place anyways, after they go through so many hands and paper pushers and whatever? All these people that these government employees are unorganic income sources, we are paying to even just be sitting there. I can't tell you, okay, for instance, we closed down, right? But DMV's still open. They're literally doing nothing. They're just sitting there, and that is at our expense. And then, but how does it even that them being around helps us for anything? So say, you get a ticket and you can't afford to pay that ticket. So then you end up in jail, losing your job or whatever. I mean, all it is SHIT rolling downhill, and it doesn't help us. It doesn't help us. It needs to stop. It's stupid. It needs to be reformed. You talk about defunding the police, and okay, listen, I can get that whole idea of whatever, and maybe it is a good thing, maybe it's not, I don't know. But I do know one thing, that there does need to be a reform, but not just of the police. It needs to happen across the whole government. And let me just say something out there to y'all police officers. I'm with you. I appreciate everything you do, but do realize that sometimes when you're in a position of what's the law and what is truly right, maybe you should go with what is right, because you work for the people, and it's been proven time and time enough that the government, your employer, well, technically the people are your employer, but government doesn't make it out that way. They screw you guys. I've been watching a lot of this because they just recently had all this alien information come out, right? And there are so many stories about police officers seeing UFOs and then losing their jobs, being called crazy. I mean, all this stuff. Even military people. So think about this, people. Okay? These people that have mind effed you, they're not on your side. The people, however, are. And you know what creates a divide between us? When you choose sides, you're choosing a side of a government that the people created that has become somehow not for the people anymore. Corrupt career politicians have ruined our government. They have ruined it. Our government's great. It's the people running it that suck. And it's got to stop. And the only way to stop that is for the people to intervene and take it back. To recognize that they are the ones in power, and then to realize that power and take it back. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so, with all this, how we're always worried about making money and stuff like that, we're not doing things that we may be very passionate about, and we might be the next Einstein in a situation, right? But instead of doing something we love, instead of doing the thing we've always dreamed of, we go and we do something that we can get at the time because it will pay the bills. That's the worst thing we could have ever put ourselves into, because we're literally wasting talent like it's never been wasted before. Having to send somebody that literally already knows to school to learn something they already know, and you want to look down on that person like, oh, you couldn't even go to school to do it? Okay, well, let's just rethink that here. How about I say to you, I want you to go learn something you already know, and I want you to spend time away from your family, and I want you to spend time suffering and all of that because I want you to go learn something you already have all the knowledge of. And not only that, but you're like an exceptional person in this field, but you have to go learn it all over because you have to have the paperwork saying you know it. Do you not understand how much that takes us away from all the possibilities that we could have? By having money as the essential to be able to do things is got to be the worst setup ever. And the way that the money is handled is really the worst thing of it all, because okay, I mean, there's plenty of it to go around, and if you think about it, making certain things available, or it's just, I have like a whole idea about how we could literally run things. Like if we just, I'll touch on it right now, whatever. So let's just say that we all essentially, and this is kind of the easiest way for me to kind of describe or explain it. WWJD, what would Jesus do? How would he respond with the situation that you're facing? If you were asked a question, what would he say in response? All those things, right? Because with that, when we're all willing to help each other with a grateful heart, with the excitement of being able to do so, then we're all helping each other. So no matter what, so it's always coming around. It can't be that like one person's this way. Of course not. That doesn't work. But if we were all that way, I mean, we can't like convince anybody of doing this, but I really think that we're kind of naturally this way as is, but we've got society sitting here being like, no, don't do that, blah, 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 blah. And instead of our own selves being like, this is what I want, and this is what I'm going to do, we have this right here saying, no, that's not normal. That's not what's normal. That's not da-da-da. That's not going to benefit you. Even though actually it really would benefit you if you just went along with it. And because it takes something to get something in return. So, you give and then it comes back to you. But that's the whole thing. Like everybody has to be that way though for it to actually come back. Otherwise it's like you're just hoping and praying. And that doesn't work. But yeah, we put off dreams every day to do any job just to turn $1. Wonder why we haven't made life-changing advances in the past, like we have in the past. Well, maybe this is part of why we didn't used to always go through years of school just to do something because a piece of paper says you can. When someone does a job because they love to, they usually are the best or better than others who are doing the job for the paper. This kind of get money only thinking is why we are where we are in the world today. Going on, have you ever had someone or a business mess you over? Ridiculous. Okay, yeah, and ridiculous laws keep essentially it from becoming even. So let's say we've got all these businesses these days, right, that are just screwing you left and right, and you kind of got to put up with it because, well, they're all that way, and you got to have that service, so I guess we got to go with it, right? But it's like, okay, so this business, they can screw you over, mess you over as much as they want. No bad's going to come to them other than maybe bad talking. But like I just said, everybody's that way. You got to have this service. So I guess we're going to have to deal with it, right? However, maybe if people were actually able to show these people that what they're doing is not right, then maybe these businesses would actually do what's right. Or it's just kind of messed up how these laws work, where it's like everything happens to you, everything wrong and bad and everything happens to you, and you don't do anything because obviously you don't want to get in trouble with the law. But why is it that it always has to be that way? Why isn't it that the company's worried about getting in trouble with the law? And, so if the law is there to do things, why aren't they doing these things? And if they're not going to do these things, then why can't we do anything about it? Do you see what I'm getting at here? None of this really goes well, any of it, actually. And, it's just like, stay the fuck out of my life. If you're not going to handle it like you're supposed to, like I'm supposedly hiring you to do, then back up and let me do my thing, okay? Yeah. Because that's the way really it should be and should have always been. And it keeps people honest. Because if you're not honest, then you're going to pay the price. I'm not a mean person. I can guarantee you, out of anybody you've ever met, I'm probably the best person you'll ever have the potential of meeting. But I am one that is an extreme stickler for lies and deceit and cruelty and hatred and meanness, and I like that right there. That's what gets me. That's what really pisses me off. So, let me see here. What else we can move on to? So, so we've got, businesses that can mess you over, ridiculous laws. And even though you or even, have proof of, you end up getting messed over, or even worse, how you make a complaint with the law, expecting something to happen, they do nothing, and goodness forbid you do anything about it. Then you end up being the one in trouble. So then what is the point of them, the law, the government that we're paying buco dollars for, that we're suffering to pay them? So why? They don't help. So what we just are supposed to do, keep letting things get worse, because that's feels like that's the road we're on. And that's definitely what's happening. Instead of more laws, we need to be better people. That makes a lot more sense. Instead of implementing more laws, we just implement, the idea of being a better person and, don't screw them over. But let's think, maybe why do they even want to screw people over? Is it because they're like, oh, well, I want to be able to afford this or whatever? Like, it's not a good reason anyways. Okay, well, the government needs to step back. That's the point of all this. The government needs to step back. People need to be able to handle their own situations, hold themselves to accountability, that kind of thing. And because the people being that close in on it and holding each other accountable, that's how you stop the corruption. It really is. So, Just know that. So, jail systems, another way for them to rake the money in, and it's not a system that helps our people. We literally have some super smart people sitting in jail on crimes that are not physically violent or anything like that, but likely probably because they had kids to feed and didn't have any other way, and now they're in jail paying for it. So God forbid people want food on the table to feed their children. I mean, but hey. So anyways, people end up in jail. They end up coming out even worse off than they were before, not able to get a job. And then, you know what? Kind of like what I was talking about earlier, all this stuff is happening, right? It's like, oh, this is for your own good, this is for your own good. But except because they're unable to do these things, like they weren't already worse off, now they're even worse off. Now they're just like, they're literally digging themselves out of a sand hole. It's just coming in on them as they're shoveling. It's impossible to get out from under that. And it's stupid. And the way people judge you and look at you, that's fucking bullshit. It's all effing bullshit. And I'm sick of it. We should be kind to each other. We should be helpful to one another. And I'm not talking about one person doing it for another. I'm saying we all are doing this for each other. And we should be there for each other, not wait for a government or rely on this government. I mean, this corrupt, ruining, this administration that's in there right now, which personally, I don't believe they should be. And I think there was definite corruption that placed this person in there. But this traitor to our country, to our people, to freedom, is sitting trespassing in our office right now, and by every stroke of the pen, because I don't know, are we just letting him? Are we just going along with what he wants? Like, for instance, this whole border crisis thing. Why don't you just say no? How about you just say, oh, this guy's an idiot, and hey, this is our country. We don't agree with it. We don't agree with what this person is doing. I love you. And, and we're not going to go through it. This is going to ruin our country. We're not going to let it happen. That's all you got to do. So do it. Do it. If you got literally the cartel or whoever tempting you at these things, you know what? What tempts me is pulling the trigger on a freaking whatever, one of the ones that goes through goes through anything. Oh yeah, I'd love to be down there with you, little pieces of crap, child molesting, child pornography producing. You deserve to burn in hell. You deserve to burn in hell, and I would love to help you get there. Okay. So let's get into who provides the weed to the marijuana stores, where every weed form, even sometimes just the hemp, non-THC forms, are burned by the police. So we've got all this, okay, marijuana's cool now, right? Except why are our fields still getting burnt then by government officials? Why is it that, let's all make it, like, literally, I mean, you guys do see how, like, everything is just a ploy for them to make more money, right? A power grab or a ploy to make money. That's all it is. And the power grab is essentially to make money, too, anyways.
They want the big weed companies
right.
to make money.
Big companies,
but they end up taking on
right.
the little ones.
Right, no, that's actually a great point. People that have the money already can get richer because they have the money to pay these people off to do the dirty work that they want them to do. That's exactly right, actually. 100%. So, yeah. People just know that no matter the dollar amount, literally it's us that controls whether or not it's worth a damn. So if you decide to say, hey, you know what, my time's worth more than $1 to earn this piece of corn, or do you want the paper that you can literally use for burning in your fire and no work for the corn? So I can come help you at your farm to earn the corn, or I can give you this paper that's worth nothing because we say it's worth something. Here you go. Yeah, no. So point being, like, it's just, so is this just putting more money in the cartel pockets and government, or better yet, career politician pockets? So essentially all of the things is like, I've said this before, where they play off our good intentions, right? They're like, oh, let's pass this law because, hey, it sounds good, right? It's like good intentions on the people. Like, oh, of course, the people don't want to seem mean. They don't want to seem like this and that and that. So if we put this in front of them, if they don't go for it, then that makes them look this way. So they're going to go ahead and go for it. So they play off our good intentions. Then they roll those laws over to open up more doors to more treading on our rights, laws, and stupidity of blahness. It makes me so angry. But yeah, so I hear about the burning of the wheat fields all the time, yet it's legalized. Cool. Okay, so people that don't make enough in the first place, and government workers, why do they pay taxes? If we didn't take taxes from them in the first place and pay the government workers less. So I had a conversation about this actually with a friend of mine who works for the government, and it seems to always be in meetings. I don't know what the fuck he does. Anyways, people that don't make, okay, so say you don't make enough money in the first place, but you're paying taxes out of your money, right? Well, don't forget, they're making money off your taxes, so I'm sure that's why they want you to still pay them instead of just telling you don't pay them at all. Not only that, but it's not just, for instance, like we've got all these people, right? It's hard to keep track of them, right? So we've got people that say maybe aren't paying their taxes. They're getting away with it. But how many people do we have that are paying their taxes but aren't getting them back because they don't file or whatever? I'm one in the last couple of years. Oh yeah. So they've had my money sitting there, but since I haven't filed taxes, that has not come back. Do you understand what I'm getting at? Then we have the government workers who are literally being paid with tax money. And then they're also paying taxes. Seems to me like a really good way to get a whole bunch of money on hand that you can use for investing purposes to triple, 1,000%, 2,000% gains on your money. Oh yeah, baby. It's smart. It's smart. But the sad part is they've just taken it too damn far. Taken it too far. Anyways, see, all these things that I'm talking to you about, I would be more than happy to teach you all how to get out of it. Keep your money. Let me tell you what to do and how you can invest to make buku times as much what you have in your pocket right now. I will happily. It is the easiest damn thing in the world, and you can make so much money, and all these problems are so easily resolved. But because there's people in office with the power that want more money, they're greedy, they don't give a shit about you or I, they just want to make money, 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 money. They will sell out America. They have sold out America because they want money. More money. That's what it's all about. So, next time, let's do this, right? Let's just say once a day, pick something good to do. Pick something good. Whether it be helping somebody out, giving a ride, something simple, just real easy to start with at least, to start with. Picking up trash, along the way when you're walking, you see trash on the ground, pick it up. Don't throw away trash that, without it being somewhere. Try to recycle. Try to recycle. Just try to do one good deed a day. If we all put our heads to it and we're like, hey, I'm going to do one good deed today. That would be a huge change, I think, for this whole world. And it would be amazing. Can you imagine just being happy every day, not being worried about anything every day? Because, life's just going to come at us as it's going to come at us. And you just have to choose to say, I'm not going to be upset by this. I'm not going to let that affect me. I'm going to say, I'm just going to say I'm happy until I freaking believe it. I mean, it really is. It takes some, eye-opening things, but it truly is a choice. It really is, and it's yours to make. Okay, so shows just how stupid and wasteful, and this is on the lowest level, the smallest form example. About the government workers and people that don't even make enough to pay taxes in the first place. That thing. Yeah. So who in the heck do any of these government representatives think they are doing with our money? Us, they want. They invest it and make more from yours and your money and raise your taxes. They shove our heads down as they use us to step up, no more, right? I mean, we're saying all this, right? So, yeah. So, it's just crazy how much money they already do get out of taxes, yet they want to raise more. We have more money going to education, yet education. We have more money going to all these things, yet the least money going to all these things. Wouldn't it be cool if we could just decide what we wanted to put our money into, and if it was like more of a direct thing? I mean, for instance, we've got people all the time, right, that give to these nonprofit businesses to help whatever it is that they're supposedly nonprofit for. Well, why couldn't that just be the tax outage thing? I mean, people want to help, but instead of teaching people how to fish, they just give people fish for a day. And essentially that's because, in a way, it really keeps more money in their pockets and in their hands and just there, instead of in the people's hands. Or teaching us how to get out of a bad situation, teaching us how to live without the need or desire for an okay or permission of the government. I mean, we have been molded into these people that look for permission, don't ask questions. I mean, where did you guys ever get that this government's trustworthy? They're not. They're not. Okay, so let's see, articles. Oh, there was an article on the Texas AG sues Biden admin over power grab to rescind HC funding. This is the kind of action we must stand up to together. In order to stop further treading on our rights, our country, our futures, our freedom. Okay, this, let me see if, I don't think I'm going to be able to find that article, but it was an article about Biden, the Biden admin, a power grab to rescind HC funding, healthcare funding. I don't know what it was, why or whatever, but this is why you guys should just keep your money in the first place. And okay, so I'd been having this idea about okay, well, what if every city just had their own direct fund, and say they had a money manager even managing this money in the stock markets, right? So it was making even more money. So essentially, by the time you guys might even have to pay for anything, you'll have made so much profit, you could literally get your money back. So it's like you'll never be paying taxes again because your money is constantly working for itself. So why is it that the government doesn't work this way for us? Or is it that they do work that way, but we're just not the ones receiving the benefits of it all, reaping the benefits of our own profits? Well, that is the way it is. So again, it's just insanely corrupt. All I am saying, I'm not saying that, hey, let's stop funding this, let's stop funding this. I'm saying that this is not being funded correctly anyways, and the money is not even getting back to the people it's supposed to. And if you really want to help people, then you're going to stop doing it this way, and we're going to start doing it this way. That keeps more money under our control and guided to the things that it truly should be going to. Things that could truly help people get off their feet and really live for themselves and become something great that really helps this world. I mean, there's so much talent out there that is constantly wasted because they don't have the right degree, or they don't come from the right family, or they don't have the money to buy their way in. Money is the worst thing that could have ever happened to us, ever. We should all just be out, just being kind and helping one another. I mean, literally, you could have anything you wanted if that was the way it was. You really could. Why wouldn't you be? Because everybody would want to make each other happy. Just saying. So I've thought about running for governor, and only because it would allow me to reach more people. But why, when you know things are not right? Would you ever trust a government worker anyway? There is massive history of deceit, lies, betrayal, a very unhonest government. So why would I need to be government for you to respect what I have to say? The government is not who you think they are. So, and that is true. I mean, the only reason I would really want to be governor is just so I can reach more people. Essentially, my goal is to help the world to learn how to resolve any problem you face, whatever it is. If I have the details, I mean, obviously the harder the problem, but I'll need more details, blah, blah, blah. But there's pretty easy resolutions to most of our issues. And I want to do I'm going to start by doing like a 1-by-1 to just get an idea out there to, because the message needs to get out. But, I just want that reach to you all. I want to help you all, and I don't want your money. I don't want it at all. In fact, if I was going to be governor, I would do that job completely free. And if they forced me to take an income, like it was said, like with the president, they can't deny it or something, then I would invest it, and anything I made would go right back into the system, but to the people. Let's make this place awesome. Let's get the kids a place to go play during the days, not a place for illegals to come, but a place for our own people to go too, and that's another thing. It reminds me, I think I was probably going to touch on this later, but I'm going to go grab it now. For all these people that are coming over here in search of whatever it might be, whether it's something as serious as safety, and if that's the case, though, with the most recent influx that we've had, they have not been here for safety. A very small percentage actually has. But I want to get this message out to all of you who are escaping your areas because of how bad it is. Look at the CCP in China and what they do and how horrible they are to their people. The CCP has infiltrated America since at least as early as the 1970s. And we have people that are traitors in our midst, in the highest of offices, that are working with the regime, including Wall Street. And if you do a job like mine and you do the job as I do, you would know for a fact that there's a lot of corruption going on. The only way to stop this corruption from continuing to spread is by stopping it where it is currently at, in its tracks. It is by us standing up against it together and not letting it go any further than where it is now. That includes you in China, that includes you in Iraq or Jerusalem or wherever it might be in this world. You have to stop running. Get together, all of you, get together. I don't care. I can't say that like that because that's not right. It's not that I don't care if you have families, but everybody, you guys can't use them as an excuse because your family's only going to suffer if you don't do anything. And if people have to die, unfortunately, if people do end up dying, it will likely be a lot less than the amount of people that will die over the period of time if you do nothing at all. Don't you, what is it, a world? Would you rather live in a world that you could never be happy in, that's corrupt, you're a slave in? Or would you rather put up a fight, possibly die, but know that the world will flourish as a result of it? Well, I know what I would do and what I will do and am doing. And that's standing up and speaking my mind and stepping up when comes the time. And I will, guarantee. Because this is the future for our children. This is the future for all human beings. And if we just let these corrupt people that are literally brainwashing people into doing what they want them to do, then it's only going to follow us. Look where it's come into America. Look how almost close we are to a regime here, to communism here. We're on the verge of it now. And because people are running away, and it only makes it worse. Maybe you escaped it for a little bit, but that problem will follow you. It will be on your doorstep, no matter what, no matter how far you run. I've thought about this. Trust me. I've had lots of ideas on what to do, where to go, but it's only going to follow there. And we can't have that. It just gets worse. So, okay. So, are you even curious what happened to the pride and foundations we grew up knowing? Like in our country, like, the foundations of being kind to one another and, all that, helping each other and all that, working with one another, understanding each other, not being judgmental, all those good foundations, or, the pride for our country, being prideful, like happy, like, we're happy that we live in America because America is the best damn country in the world, because it truly is. I'm just saying, when did all that happen? It feels like we know nothing about our past and have no depth to our heritage. While worrying about money to pay bills that are piling up, they teach us bad but never good. Family ties are important, but we are pulled apart. Our lack of depth and self-respect is too sad, depressing. So essentially, this is their way of pulling us apart by separating us from each other, dividing us from our families, because when we don't have anybody else, we have no more of those ties, no more of that self-reflection of who we are, then we're susceptible to manipulation. And that's exactly how they get people, as they've done in China with the regime or wherever else they do it at. So keep that in mind. We need to spend time getting to know each other again. We are brothers and sisters. We need to stop being judgmental and hateful to each other and start being kind, helpful, understanding, loving, caring. We need to get back to our roots. What makes us us? No judgment, just help and being honest, kind, truthful, loyal. Not screwing each other over to get in a higher position and make more money. Like, that's just think about before making those decisions that the person you are is going to be how you are judged after it all is over, not by what you gained as a person by doing the wrong that you are tempted to do. How can we judge anyone? We all were dealt different hands, and whether the hands we were dealt, we have learned to be a certain way. And with the hands we were dealt, we have learned to be a certain way. To judge someone who knows no better, who knows no other way, these people, you, I, were taught what we were taught, brought up the way we were brought up. We have no control over how we were raised, and everyone's path and experiences are different, which brings us to different understandings of things. So, if you don't understand a situation, then think to yourself how someone else may feel in a situation such as that. We have to be patient and understanding with each other. We can't be a judge, jury, and executioner. We never have a full story, because we never have the full story. About these people. We it's not our place to judge them. No matter. We can't understand why, so understand how. How a person could how a person could think how they do, not why they do, because we all took a different way. But one thing we have in common more than we realize is our wants. We all want security of our futures. We want happiness and freedom to be and live a life we desire and enjoy that life and those we get to share it with. So, people's greed for money. Money ruins everything. Money can money can almost fix everything. Money can only fix, money can almost fix everything, give opportunity to one that probably shouldn't have. Oh, okay. So like we give opportunities to people that probably shouldn't have that opportunity. Essentially money only fixes the BS for which it has caused in the first place. So like, I was saying earlier about our capabilities, like we have people that probably are the next Einsteins but don't even get the opportunity because, hey, somebody else got picked for the job because, hey, we know their family or whatever. Like that's not the way to do things. Society has raised us to be a certain way, but it doesn't mean it's the right way to be. Don't be ashamed to be you. Love who you are. If someone else has an issue, it's exactly that, their issue. And you can't concern yourself with that anymore. We shouldn't have to have money to enjoy this earth. Growing our own food, drinking clean water, just knowing how to get all this on our own would be a start. But we are kept B2 with meaningless tasks. We are kept busy with meaningless tasks, and for what? To earn a piece of paper backed by a government, a tyrannical government. Why not working for and with each other and having each other's backs, rely on one another instead, not a greed-stricken, selfish, corrupt, tyrannical government. So instead of, like this government, they want to keep us stupid. They don't want to teach us these things that would help us to benefit ourselves, because they want to keep us stupid and busy so they can get away with whatever it is they're wanting to do, whatever agenda they're trying to push. I mean, shoot, the propaganda and the media shares, if you just stop listening to that, that'd be a start. But instead, if we just started relying on each other, having each other's backs, instead of trying to screw each other over to climb the ladder. So, filled with our tyrannical government filled with career corrupt politicians that can't get rich enough off screwing the people, the masses, when it is more enough. Yeah. Just essentially, we're a mass amount of people worldwide that are being controlled by an extremely small group, and this has got to stop. You guys want things a certain way, and that's fine. Live your life that way. But it shouldn't be that the way you want to live your life is forced upon everybody else in the world. That does not work. And that's why I was saying mass election does not work, because then you're literally constantly forcing 50% of people not to do something, or to do something that they don't want to do. That's not right. And, you can think in your head like, oh, well, this is da-da. But you know what? Turn it around and put yourself in a position of something you really, really don't agree with or want to do. And then tell me that happening to somebody else is okay. It's not. That's not real freedom. We think we do things for people, but in our heads, we have concern about whether we are liked, loved, and it results in selfish behavior. If we are truly doing something good for another, then we do it truly only for them, not because we want their love, likeness. Do for someone, not to make them happy because it was you who did it. Do it because it's what should be done. Do it for nothing but the task itself, and because it's right. And this is, again, it's, when I say this, it's not like I'm only expecting one person. This I'm saying for everyone. the world to be this way to each other. Kind, loving, helpful. Not responding in negative or anger, but responding with a grateful heart and excitement and joy. And yeah, you may think, oh, that's crazy. How could anyone do that? But it's truly a choice. And I don't know how to tell you how to turn that corner other than just choosing to do it. The other day, a buddy of mine, this may cover something I already did, but government worker, in fact, one who made those points to me earlier about the taxes on people who get it all back, so why pay? Well, another thing he mentioned, and I think sometimes we don't realize that we may feel or think a certain way about something because we only know so much. We don't have all the details or lead tos for logical reasoning. But he was talking about a train going on land that a farmer owned, how the farmer wouldn't give up the land for this train. And, you know, like saying like it was like essentially like what a bad farmer for not giving up his land for the train to go through. He mentioned how the farmer should let the government train construction go through the private land. That the farmer should do a tunnel or overpass to drive his tractor instead of, say, the train. To do his work farming to feed America, you know, because that's what these farmers do. And California is like the main place for our food that comes for our country, provides for our country. So on or through. Why can't the farmer do this? It's ridiculous. It would help people somehow or a select few. I personally always prefer a personal vehicle or just vehicle with more than one more than one person in Sacramento or two in San Francisco, LOL, because of the passenger extra. You get to ride in the carpooling. There you go. Now, my thoughts are you aware the government now owns over 60% of the country's land? And sorry, not sorry, this is private land, so no matter who it may or may not be, no matter what, if you don't want to open more doors to people's rights being stepped on, and why couldn't they build the underpass or overpass or just go around this guy's farm? Kind of like the drought in California. There is plenty of water to go around, but the route we take has a much different story to tell. It's all about money. Who can buy their way out of what or into where, whatever. Why do you think that PG&E hasn't upgraded their equipment for as long as they have in certain areas, especially? Money cannot be allowed this power anymore, and we the people are the ones that give it this power, especially by, you know, going against our what we know is right to get money from people as a bribe or whatever it might be. Only we can stop the power grab. We have to stop stressing on tomorrow by helping each other today. By being selfish, we are hindering ourselves and each other. We have plenty to go around, yet we hoard it till it ages because we worry about something that won't happen unless we make it happen. We need to help one another, all of us, all. Treat each other kindly with understanding and compassion, not judge, but uplift. Respond with compassion and positivity rather than shunning and negative judgment. Let he who is without sin cast the first stone. Or how about teach a man to fish and feed him for life? But all those tasks, all that takes time and needs understanding and patience. Take time to consider your responses instead of letting emotions rule you. Seizures of land when they rent something that's going to make them money. Oh yeah, when they want something that's going to make them money, so they seize the land. They manipulate to their advantage. Yeah, so that's another thing. How is it that the government can sit there and seize our land when it's private property, or can take it from us if we don't pay taxes on property we've already paid for. I mean, none of this makes sense. None of it is right. None of it makes sense. And I don't care who you are out there. If you don't agree with something, like I was saying before, mass elections don't work for the masses. What if it was a law that went against something that you didn't agree with, and it's forcing you to do it? So you can sit there all you want and be like, well, they should have to do this. They should have. But what if the tables were turned on you? How would you feel about that? That's the thing. It's about freedom. And we would all be more willing and able if it wasn't for a government that's constantly hindering us. A government that says they're here to help us, yet they're constantly lying, they're constantly hindering us, they're constantly doing things to mess us over, control us, whatever it might be. It's ridiculous. It needs to end. We need to work together, be a country of one, a world of one, where we are helpful to each other and not hurtful constantly, where we don't do things because we don't like somebody or whatever. Just, that's the devil telling you to be that way. Don't be that way. You don't have to. And it feels so good to be nice. Next time you're out there, instead of not smiling or giving a dirty look, give a smile to somebody and just see how good it makes you feel, because it does. It feels amazing. Okay, so again, as I was saying before, especially with all you coming in illegally or whatever, okay, it's not just quite about that. It's about the whole issue that if we run from our problems elsewhere, they're bound to follow us. So to stop that, it's got to stop where you're at, and we got to figure out a way to literally get the word out to each other. This is what we, one main website for all the Patriots that, and then different areas where the organizations, we just, call it the people and the power, because we got to take it back. And I'm talking worldwide. Get it out of the hands of those corrupt that want to see us just enslaved and just constantly at their beckoning call, not living a true life that really, where we are around our loved ones and doing things that we enjoy, and none of that, but constantly, worrying because of them. They're the ones making us worry because of everything that's required that really is unnatural. It's all unnatural. So stop running, stay and fight, or the problem spreads, and it has. We can't anymore go over. There was an article, social credit, Bitcoin, China blacklist. Okay, so China blacklists the Bitcoin, right? Any cryptocurrencies, I guess it sounds like now. Now, China, check it out. You want to know why they're doing that? And I don't know why currency has such a value. Other than the value, we literally give it that value. But currency is only as valuable as we say it is, only what it can pay for. So if you guys say that, hey, we're not going to take it anymore, instead we're going to take time. We're going to say you owe me 3 hours of your time doing whatever job it might be or something, like, I don't know, but change it. Don't let, because a person says, oh, you don't have the paper to give me, that you can't afford it or it's not going to happen. Like, how is it that kindling, tinder, whatever it is to start a fire is literally worth more, than our time or whatever? That is just, it's stupid. It's got to be one of the biggest mind F's that's ever happened in our time. So don't be afraid. Public state schools, I talked about this earlier, taxes could literally pay for private education. What the fuck? Also, I was looking at a chart, and it was showing about like how much, if it was in green, it was like 20 points better, but if it was in red, it was marked because it was 20 points like higher than, it was like a big difference or whatever. Anyways, going through the chart, I saw that the dim states rank majorly lower, while most expensive price tags, and the red states ranked highest with the least taxes spent, so the least expensive price tag. Does that make sense to you? Because, yeah. So, facts are facts. Statistics are statistics. And, if it's true, then, and I don't see why this particular site would have lied about it, considering that it had nothing to do with the government. It just was talking about pupil per state school, public school, stuff, like how much it costs. And yeah, it's pretty wild. Government jobs and paperwork. Like it's on purpose so they feel like something was done. Yeah, so it always seems like these state jobs or government jobs always have so many meetings and paperwork to do. They're always pushing paper. What exactly are you doing that's helping us by doing that? Other than you're just going over all the extra BS we have to go through because of these things. Like, I mean, it's just, there's so much unnecessary that is required these days. And I know, unless you're crazy, you agree. And that's got to stop. So again, literally we create more laws instead of creating better people. Instead of creating people that want to sue every second because they screwed up, how do we just make better people, you know? And suing goes out the door because, you know, we shouldn't be suing our neighbors anyways, or, you know, whatever it might be. But I mean, come on, people, there's got to be a line that you just don't cross anymore. You know, you're like, that's just crazy. That's too far. We're not going to feed in and you know, what do they say about all this crazy stuff that's going on, that we're like literally catering to people with mental disabilities? And that's the damn truth. Okay, so again, like for instance, let's talk about guns, right? Okay, so they want to outlaw guns. Yeah, there's no good reason for that. And it sure is funny how they're not talking about how the FBI is not doing their job in getting their tips in time to stop any shootings. You do know that they let them happen on purpose. Yeah, so that government that you're paying, you know, religiously, they're not doing their job. They're only doing what they need to do to make sure they keep you in line with the idea of fear. So, and it's rather intriguing actually to see people be enlightened regarding the whole gun thing. And you know, it's like that, for instance, it's like the whole birth control, paying for people's birth control thing. Instead of just teaching people that they actually have a natural birth control, instead of just teaching women that literally at the very minimum, you can get pregnant 24 hours out of the month, 48 hours, and then at the very maximum, 5 days before that period of time. Yeah, if we just taught women that, you know, they might prefer a natural remedy instead of a bunch of hormones being pumped into their body that could likely cause cancer later on in life. But hey, what do I know, right? Anyways, to each their own. How about these UFOs? So I was talking about this earlier. Now, I'm not at all saying we need to worry. They've been here, and I mean, for centuries, decades, hundreds, thousands of years, they've been here. So, whether to worry or not, I don't think so. But to say, if there were a risk of the end of the world coming, okay, we aren't ready. But you know who is? You know who's got some really amazing bunkers, some top of the line, impenetrable, like just some crazy awesome bunkers? The government does. For their government workers. Like, oh, Nancy Pelosi, I want to keep her alive. Yeah, so you know though how they paid for those was at our expense. But you know who's not going to have a bunker if shit did hit the fan? You, me, unless we buy one with our personal money that we have or don't have left because they tax the hell out of us all. You know, for that money to go to nothing other than line their nasty little pockets. Yeah, that's super awesome. So, you know, they have also talked about how when they do tell us of the aliens, I've seen this before too, that they're going to actually make it out as if the aliens are a threat to us. And I'm here to tell you that they are not a threat. If they were a threat, you would have known about this a long time ago. I can guarantee you that. In fact, if anything, they're here to help us. They are here to guide us. They're here to keep us from killing ourselves. They are here not as a threat. Okay. In fact, actually, I'm glad I wrote this down. So, and think about the fact, too, that the government's lied about aliens for years. So, if they've lied about that, what else? And they've literally caused people to lose their jobs, kill themselves, and all that because these people have sightings and then they're threatened to keep quiet and all that. I mean, this is just it's bewildering. It's mind-boggling. Not okay. So, with this whole thing, through abductees, my uncle was abducted, actually. And not just that, but other stories that I've heard, aliens have actually saved people from drownings, and different things. So, doesn't sound like much of a threat to me. But, again, what do I know? So, yes, aliens have been here since before, long, long, long ago. They are not the enemy. Okay, so, mentioning the defund the police thing. And, I'm not one to say defund or don't defund police. I definitely think a reform needs to happen. But, again, as I mentioned earlier, the police would not be the only government area of reform that I would seek. I would just, again, seek for people to be better people. But, and I do believe the police were originally hired by just the rich people around. And then it's always funny how they make that joke that they're just there for the rich and, they only arrest the poor or whatever. I mean, you do go to a jail, and how often do you really see anybody that has money there? I don't know. But, I mean, yeah. So we need reform, but it sees way past defunding police. We need a reform of this whole corrupt, tyrannical government, or rather career politicians. Mass voting does not work. I've mentioned this before, but I myself have been accused of things I didn't do and had to pay for them. Even though I had the person even saying that they did it, I still had to pay for it, which is really interesting how that works. Still kind of confused on it, but yeah, not to mention the harassment that I received in addition to something that I did not do. So, or those people that saw aliens and were harassed on something that did happen, but because other people want to be assholes. 50% always has to do what the other 50% wants. So yes, mass voting does not work. How's that even remotely considered real freedom? We should be able to choose no matter what. Earlier I mentioned something about businesses screwing you, blah, blah, blah. Point of that is, businesses are allowed to screw us over, but if we get mad and do anything in retaliation, we're the ones that get in trouble. Instead of, people just doing their job and a business being the one that gets in trouble for not doing what they should have done. But hey, right, the law really works in mysterious ways. So again, mentioned this earlier, hike in the minimum wage programs, all these contribute to higher taxes that we can't afford as is. So a bank doesn't want to refund fees from pandemic overdrafts. So this was another thing I saw the other day on Yahoo Finance. And I'm sure a lot of you out there are thinking, well, they should have to refund them because blah, blah, blah. But we're talking about a personal business, right? And if you don't like that, then I hope you don't like a whole bunch of other stuff. Okay, this is one of those things where it's to you, you're thinking, oh, well, they should do this, so they should have to do this. But by you, if we push that through that, oh, they have to do this and blah, 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 and made that a law, then that's opening a door to more things that step on private businesses, more laws that invade rights of people who own private businesses. So, yes, a bank is probably the biggest thief out of them all. But just know that when you want to do that, you're opening the door to a lot of other things. So you have to keep that in mind. Instead, how about, we just stop, instead of that, how about we just demand better service or something? We stop giving these things our business until we get what we want from them. That would be a much better thing rather than forcing something to happen. See, we force it by doing something versus forcing by law. That is what we need to be doing, not implementing more laws that then get turned around on us. Do you see what I'm saying? So there's Janet Warren or whatever. She wants a bank to refund all the fees from the pandemic overdrafts, but who really caused all those fees? Oh, the government did with their stupid ass shutdowns. Now they want businesses to pay for their doings. And that's a constant. It's not just the bank thing, it's everything. So it's like we want these businesses to put off all these costs and all that, but then, or like we want these these landlords to give the renters this and that, but yet the government's still charging what they were already charging, if not hiking things on top of it. So do you get what I'm saying here? That it's like the government wants everybody else to bend and bend and bend until they break, but the government's never going to bend. They're just going to keep getting more and more and more until you break. So keep that in mind. It's kind of hard not to, considering we live it every day. So in short, how about the government cut themselves out so businesses can give the breaks the governments want so badly? Now, time to go over each of the world's problems and how to solve them. Like how, if you could just keep your all money, you could be the one making more instead of the government. Who then? Blah, blah, blah. If I pay for my kid, so for instance, if I pay for my kid to go to a private school and still have to pay that same amount, or likely more, if in abler state, likely more if in, or likely more if in a blue state, really, even if not, but how is that fair? So let's say that we're paying taxes for state schools, right? But then the same amount that we're paying for a private school. So why is it that we're still paying both? Like, isn't it that we're paying so all kids can go to school, but then we're not taking, I don't know. Well, not, I don't know, but you get what I'm saying as far as that goes. So there's a way that, one, that's not fair. We should be able to choose, what we're paying into, for one. And whether or not you think that, again, people naturally want to help each other. So it's really just everything I've already said builds up to make all this work. So, point being, it's not fair. Point being, put yourself in the shoes of something you wouldn't want to do and being forced to do it. It's not right. Okay. We don't implement more laws. We implement better ways of being. We do it by choice, not by force. We do it by literally wanting to. That is how we need to go about things, not forcing each other into something because 50% want it but the other 50% don't. That's not right. None of that works. So anyways, next part is I'm gonna go over each problem and I'm gonna go over ways that we can fix it. And again, though, most importantly, that it's got to be a choice. We have to make people want to do these things, not by fear, not by, and that's actually how the government does it though. It's like they know that we're too powerful. So they're in their minds, they're like, okay, we have to make the people want to do this because we don't have the control over them to where we can force them into it. They know that. Okay. I'm saying we, the people, choose that though on our own, and we do it in an encouraging way, not in a way that is encouraged through fear, but in a way that's encouraged through love and kindness. Because that's so much easier than being angry about things and not wanting to, and just like forcing yourself to have to do these things, because it all results in such negativeness. But if you did it in the positive light of things, then it actually would result in such greatness. It's like, I could only imagine how awesome it would be if we were just more willing to do good, you know. But again, I think that we're hindered by that because we have a government that really is just all about negative energy feeding it to us, and it's hard to get out of that. But I know we can. Just take some guidance and willingness and choice. It has to be a choice. So, okay, well, hope that turned out good, because that's a long video. Till next time, friends. Toodaloo.